What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco. You know what it is. But yeah. So listen, we were supposed to do a collab with CK Birds tonight. Me and Brandon had a feeling that something was gonna happen pretty soon from a couple of tweets that we saw. So we called a good friend of ours. You might know him as Jimmy Kempski. He was on the road, so unfortunately the quality is not perfect, but I did try to edit it so that you got all the answers and all the questions. And like I said, I do apologize about the quality of the audio and everything, but it is the best that we could do. I hope that you do enjoy it either way, and we'll definitely be trying to get him back on at another time. But like I said, he said some very interesting stuff. So definitely check it out. Let me know what is going on, you guys. It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and I'm here with my guy, as always, Brandon. It is Philly the podcast. So today we have a very special guest. We got Jimmy Kempski, writer for the Philly Voice. Very excited to have you on. How you doing today, my man?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Can't complain. Living the best life, you know. So we got you. We got you on the road. I know you're a little bit busy, so I'll get these questions in, and we'll get you out of here. The first thing I wanted to ask you was actually pertaining to your recent mock draft. I saw that you had Devontae Smith going in the first round, but you had Davion Nixon, defensive tackle out of Iowa, going in the second. Now that's a name I haven't heard much. Can you kind of explain that pick?
Yeah, he's kind of a guy that is totally under the radar, or at least he was heading into the season. He had a breakout season this year. He's a defensive tackle. He was up for like a whole boatload of awards this year, like the Outland Trophy. Forget the other one, but I believe the Outland Trophy is the one where it's given to a lineman of some sort, whether it be offensive or defensive line. And he was the only defensive lineman in that category. I think Alex Leatherwood, the offensive lineman from Alabama, won that, and he was, all Big Ten. He's, but he really came on this year. I believe he was ranked 30-something. I want to say like 35th in Daniel Jeremiah's first, top 50. So, he's a guy who's starting to kind of pick up steam now. But I think that this is a guy that actually has a chance to sneak into the first round, because it's a very weak defensive line draft, and obviously the Eagles have needs along their defensive line. Really, a defensive tackle more so than defensive end right now. With Fletcher Cox is now over 30 years old, clearly in decline. Malik Jackson's not coming back, and Javon Hargrave, big free agent signing last year, had kind of a disappointing 2020. So I do think they want to get younger there, and obviously they prioritize the position.
Right, as good as it is, like, to get that defensive tackle, I know that a lot of Eagles fans are excited about that sixth pick and how he's going to do at that spot. And you have Devontae Smith. Do you have Devontae Smith there because you see him as a better talent than like a Jamar Chase? Or do you think Jamar Chase might actually be taken before Devontae Smith in this draft?
Well, I had Jamar Chase on my version 1.0, so this was my version 2.0. I very much think that Jamar Chase is the better player, or the better prospect, really. You look at what his numbers were 2 years ago at LSU. Obviously, he opted out of the 2020 season. But when you look at like that LSU team, they had those two stud receivers in Chase and Justin Jefferson. And Chase was clearly the better receiver of the two between he and Jefferson. We saw what Jefferson did in his. He tore it up as a rookie. I think he had 1,400 receiving yards with the Vikings in his rookie season. Obviously, Eagles fans not thrilled that they passed on him after the fact. But yeah, Chase is in my opinion the best wide. I don't think it's really even that close personally, but I think he's the best wide receiver prospect in this draft. I don't think he's going to be there at pick 6. I think he's going to be gone by the time the Eagles pick. And if he is, then I don't think you can go wrong with Devontae Smith. Or even Jalen Waddle is another guy who I know some people think his traits will translate a little bit better to the NFL because he has elite speed. And when you actually look at his numbers over the first 4 games with Alabama this year, he was outpacing Devontae Smith at the time. I guess in his 5th game, he got injured. I believe it was on the opening kickoff of that game. But in his first 4 games, he was well over 100 yards in each of those first 4 games and was actually outproducing Devontae Smith. So it's interesting to think, like, Waddle never gets hurt, does Devontae Smith win the Heisman Trophy? Like, is he able to put up the numbers that he did this year? So yeah, it's really between those three guys, and then another guy that I really like is Rashad Bateman. I don't think he's a realistic candidate to be picked that highly, but those three receivers, obviously Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle will be the guys that are discussed as far as potential Eagles picks at that 6th spot.
Yeah, I personally love Jamar Chase. I think, like you said, I think he's probably the most NFL ready in my opinion, and I think he was last year. I mean, he was doing that while he was like 21, going against grown men out there just killing them. I think younger. I think 19.
19, yeah.
So he's been out there killing it. I would love to see that. And you made some great points about Davian Nixon. I've been telling a lot of my subscribers, and they've been throwing tomatoes at me virtually. Obviously, this is a podcast, but they've been throwing tomatoes because I have been saying we do have a very old defensive line, and that is something that should be a point of contention this offseason. So something else I want to ask you, staying on the draft for a second, is I want to get your opinion on we obviously have a whole bunch of drama going on at the QB position right now. Could Howie Roseman maybe add to that drama a little bit in pick 6 and go quarterback? Do you think quarterback's an option?
Real quick, are people disagreeing with you that the defensive line is old? Is that what you said? People are disagreeing with that?
Hello?
Yeah, I think what he was alluding to.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear him, Joe?
I couldn't hear him. No.
Oh, he was like saying that if people disagreed with you, like
yeah,
really
I said, are people disagreeing?
Yeah, the people
on the fact that the defensive line is old.
Oh no, yeah, people were telling me. People were more so.
Well, that's not
saying they don't think
they
disagree.
It's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, and more so, people were saying they want a cornerback at that pick, this and that, which I understand. But to your point, like you said, we are getting old there, and the production is not there.
Okay. All right, quarterback at pick 6. Yeah. So I mean, so that's something that I need to do soon. Is I gotta watch all these guys. Like, I've seen enough Trevor Lawrence just casually watching football games. I've seen enough Justin Fields just casually watching Ohio State games. I gotta watch a little bit more of Trey Lance to get a better feel for what he is. And I've seen Zach Wilson a little bit, but not enough where I can really have any kind of fully formed opinion. So I mean, that's sort of probably the first step for me, is to actually just watch these guys and see who I think is worthy of going that highly. But from the Eagles' perspective, if they think that a guy, like one of those 4 guys, is going to be like a potential franchise quarterback, you better just take him. You know what I mean? Because you're not picking that highly that often. And while we all kind of think that they're not going to be good in 2021 and could be picking highly in the 2022 draft, you can't count on that. And you also can't count on there being, enough, plentiful number of quarterback prospects worthy of going top 10. I mean, this is a draft where I think the consensus is that all 4 of these guys are probably going to go top 10. So it's a loaded quarterback draft. And again, if you really think that one of these guys is potentially going to be a very good quarterback, I don't think Jalen Hurts showed some nice things, but I don't think he showed so much that you wouldn't just go, no way we take a quarterback at pick number 6. Like, it's the most important position in sports, so you better have that right. And like in the NFL, you better have a guy that's like a top 10 type of quarterback, because if you don't, you're probably not going to be a Super Bowl contender. So you got to get that position fixed. And again, if there's a guy, if you're sitting there at 6 and there's a guy there available, again, you better just get him, because it's just the positional importance. Like, there's no comparison between quarterback and literally any other position in football.
You make a great point. And I think, I mean, as important as the quarterback position is, I still think that if Howie drafts a quarterback at 6 and Roger Goodell goes up there and says Trey Lance or Justin Fields or whoever, or the Eagles trade up for a quarterback, I still think Eagles Nation will erupt. Everyone would be very, very mad.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get upset. I mean, but that's what Eagles fans do. That's what we're good at. So.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was saying that Eagles Nation would erupt if we ended up taking a quarterback. But that's what Eagles do. That's what Eagles fans do. We get upset, no matter what we pick, honestly.
Right. For sure.
Now, let me get off of the draft real quick. I want to ask you a couple questions about Carson real quick. Obviously, we've been hearing a lot of different stories about, how soon it's going to happen or what the offers may be. In your opinion, do you think a Carson Wentz trade is actually going to happen pretty soon or happen at all? Where do you think the franchise and the player are with that right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if it didn't happen. I think it's almost certainly going to happen one way or the other. I do think it's going to happen soon, too. Obviously, we all, I mean, anyone who's been, like, I think Carson Wentz's strong preference would be to go to the Colts, and he does have some leverage to potentially, thwart a trade to the Bears, in that, see, the Colts can handle Colts can handle his contract, no problem. They have so much money under the cap that so if they were to trade for one, they'd have to be able to fit him in initially, but after they make that trade, they would almost certainly want to restructure 2021 specifically. And Carson Wentz could just say, yeah, I'm not going to restructure anything if you trade me to the Bears. So I don't really want to go to the Bears. Don't trade me to the Bears. Bears, don't trade for me. And, if you're the Bears, do you want a guy playing for you who, may not really want to be there? So I think that's sort of the holding pattern that we're in right now. I do think it's very possible that he does get traded to the Bears, that they're able to sort of, talk it out. And I mean, certainly he would prefer to play for the Bears than he would the Eagles at this point. So if it's between a trade to the Bears or nothing, then I think he would say, all right, fine, send me to Chicago. But obviously the two teams involved here would be the Colts and the Bears. I do ultimately think it'll be the Colts, but, don't totally rule out Chicago. And ultimately, I do think it'll get done sooner than later. I'd be surprised if this thing dragged out for more than another week.
Yeah, I mean, to keep it there, like you said, at this point, Carson probably wants to play for Chicago more than Philly. But my question for you is, in your opinion, kind of like, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where we fired Doug Peterson, we bring in a guy from the Colts, Nick Sirianni, and yet Carson still, at this point, I mean, granted, he hasn't said anything, but it's obvious at this point that he still does not want to be in Philly.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's clear. Like, I know that a lot of people have been saying, well, he's said nothing, so how do you know? I mean, come on. Like, are we kidding? Like, who are you kidding? Like, he clearly doesn't want to be in Philly. And yeah, I mean, it was when they hired Sirianni, it was like, okay, I think the general belief was that, oh, well, hey, he probably will be back then, I guess. And then word came out that nope, not so much. Like the hiring or the firing of Doug Peterson and the hiring of a new head coach did not sway him so much, and he still wants out of Philly. So yeah, I mean, that's where we are. I mean, I can't speak to the specifics of what he felt. I mean, the reports are that he didn't like the way that his benching was handled. I mean, I don't. How else would you have wanted it to be handled? Like, he was statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL. It was underperforming game after game. It was in the middle of a really bad game against the Packers, and they made the decision to pull him. So I don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes that he's additionally upset with, but it's clear that he wants out of Philadelphia. And yeah, I mean, as far as the act, like the hard, the cold hard specifics on what that actually is, I don't know. Hopefully we'll find that out at some point. But as you mentioned, he has not spoken with the media, and he certainly has had ample opportunity not only to just say publicly that he wants to be an Eagle, but he could easily just leak that through his agent to some media member, be it Schefter, Rappaport, whoever, and they could have put it out on his behalf that he wants to be with the Eagles, and none of that has happened. So Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just where we are. It's kind of incredible that he went from, potential league MVP and just 2 years, and then signs a 4-year, $128 million deal, and then right around the corner, he's again the statistically worst quarterback in the NFL, and worst starting quarterback in the NFL, that is. And then he's almost certainly going to be traded. So it's been sort of a wild roller coaster ride with Carson Wentz, culminating obviously in a very low point.
Yeah, a lot of our subscribers make the joke that Doug made that book after we won the Super Bowl, but we need a 30 for 30 after this season. This was one of the most dramatic off seasons in Eagles history. I feel like it's just been crazy. But last question I want to ask you before we get you out of here. I just want to ask you, on behalf of all Eagles fans, how hot right now do you think Howie Roseman's seat is, or do you think he's kind of safe with his job, even going past this year?
Yeah, I don't think he's in any trouble at all. Like, I mean, it's hard for fans to understand. It's hard for me to understand that. Like, I thought he should have lost his job this offseason. I really did. I thought they should have moved on, hired a new general manager. Given he's had 3 consecutive really awful off seasons, if we're just going to be honest. And the team is in as bad a shape as really any other team in the NFL. I mean, barring the Houston Texans, maybe, because you just look at like the roster. It's super old. It's bad, and and the cap situation just in general. I mean, it's going to be at least a 2-year rebuild just to get out from under all these bad contracts that they have, because they kicked the can down the road so many times with so many other, like, with so many players. Like, recently I just had a mailbag question about the bad contracts on the team, and I just went through and I picked out all the players that the Eagles would be should be more than happy not have on their contracts, and I came up with 14 players. So, like, that's not good. When you have that many players that you'd rather just not have on their team with their current contract, and it's going to take a long time for them to get out from under these contracts. So It's not even just the bad drafts or the bad free agent acquisition for being this genius cap manager, and we just haven't seen that over the last few years. Like, it's just the fallacy. I do think that he should have been gone, but clearly Howie's standing with the team is really not in any kind of jeopardy whatsoever.
Well, I know nobody's going to be happy to hear that. We tried, Eagles Nation. We tried, man. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Brandon?
No, I mean, that whole thing with Howie, it is crazy. It's like you said, in the moment, he appeared like a genius, but if anything, he was just pushing it off for the inevitable. Eventually, it was going to hit us like a brick wall, and that's where we are now.
Yep, facing the brick wall. But hey, Jimmy, I appreciate you so much coming on here, just taking your time. I know you're a very busy man, so like I said, thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir.
No, you're good. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, y'all thought I was going to get out of here without saying my lines, man. Come on now. Like I said, we had to get him off the phone because, he was busy. But y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.